Hey friends, how's it going? So this week we are going to talk about how I knew I was in perimenopause. But first, I want to rewind a bit because the last video, I talked about a holiday checklist just to help you manage and better balance your perimenopause with the stress of the holidays. I kind of leaned into that one quickly since the holidays were upon us. So I'm going to rewind a bit with this video. But beforehand, I just wanted to do a quick check-in to see how you were managing. Me personally, I had a getaway trip with my sister for a couple of days. I have also managed to continue to walk and been a little more diligent with my stretching. And so all of that has helped me to balance things a little more. We're really getting ready to get into the throes of it. So just kind of holding on to all of those little ideas and every day adding some things or continuing with the same routine just to stay balanced and focused during this season. So how about you? What have you done for yourself? Let's talk about how I knew I was in perimenopause. The short answer is I didn't. I absolutely had no clue. I did not know what perimenopause was. I knew some things was going on with my body, but I had no baseline or foundation for how to really give it words and convey the feelings and changes that I was noticing. So it first started for me, that I recall, around 46 years old. I remember it was September. I had set a goal for myself and was planning to execute it as far as my diet was concerned and my workouts. I had a few vanity pounds, you can say, that I wanted to lose. And so I went into my routine. By October, I had taken off those 5 pounds. Okay, we're good, right? Then the next thing I know, holidays hit us. I had an annual appointment scheduled for February of the following year. So you're talking about, 3 or 4 months. At that point, when I went into the doctor's office, I noticed that I was about 10 to 15 pounds heavier. I was stumped because what I said to my doctor was, how could this happen and how could it happen so fast? At first I was considering, did I overindulge in the holidays? But it never really dawned on me. It didn't make sense to me what in the world was going on with my body at that time. And if I'm honest, my doctor, who was a male, kind of just, I don't want to say blew me off, but he had no answers for me as well. So I just kind of roll with it and say to myself, all right, well, you know what to do. You start your workout regimen and your diet, you know how to handle this. And typically when I launched into that routine, within a month, 8 weeks, I'm good. But I realized after a month of consistency, I did not drop 1 pound. So imagine my surprise and how stumped I am when I realized that things are not budging like they normally do. I don't want to say that I wasn't thinking about it because I was pretty aware of it, but I'm still just moving along. The next thing I noticed was right up in here, I was having some pain, just random joint pain. If you hit it, I would want to cry. I am a writer, or I like to write, especially like when I'm blogging. I still write pen to paper before putting it on the computer. And after a little while, it would just really hurt. I mentioned this to my doctor. He recommends arthritis cream. Consider how I felt when I heard that. But I try it out. The pain would last about a week, go away. Then a month later, come back, same thing. Over the course of a few months, and it might last a couple of weeks, I'm confused. What is with this random joint pain? It wasn't like I had a job that required a repetitive motion. And you know how some people deal with carpal tunnel from doing the same motion time and time again over the course of years. This was just joint pain in my thumb. Again, no clue. We set that to the side. The next thing I notice is that when I'm sleeping at night, it's not good quality sleep. I am sweating at night sometimes. I would flip-flop between cold and hot. So very confusing for me. I am used to the description of menopause being hot flashes. So feeling some of this in my body at night was new for me. Now, I hadn't gotten to the point of serious sweating at night, but just enough to be uncomfortable, to have to keep waking up, taking the covers off, putting them back on, and not understanding what's going on. And then you add to that the insomnia. I started waking up consistently around 3 a.m., no matter how tired I was. And now I'm sitting there for the next 2 to 3 hours before I might even doze off, which wasn't for long because I had to get up. I had a high schooler that was still in the house, and I was trying to get through that phase of life. So all within the span of a year to a year and a half, these are the things that I'm noticing are going on in my body. Then I want to say in the winter of 2023, I noticed during the season, and I'm in the Midwest, so it goes gloomy and gray during the winter time. One random week, I found that I was having a very hard time with wanting to do anything. Each day was hard. I didn't want to go outside. I didn't feel like I had the energy to give anything. I didn't want to talk to people. And it was strange. It took about a week before I realized that something was wrong, and I was talking to a friend and telling them how I was feeling, not knowing if I was potentially dealing with seasonal depression or depression in general. It was not something that I had ever contended with. So it was a new feeling. But in time, I realized my energy was low. I could not tell you what the next day was going to be as far as my energy levels were concerned. And it was really difficult for me during that time trying to piece all of this together and still move about with my day-to-day life. Then I started hearing about perimenopause, the symptoms that can go along with it. Mine are not the only ones. There are several more. I've even heard up to a good 100 of them. It just varies by individual. But that's when I was able to better understand and process that there was this phase of life that occurs prior to menopause that I was now dealing with. So at this point, my goal has been to better understand what's going on and what can I do to manage those symptoms. And for me right now, it's still as naturally as possible, while, as I mentioned before, I do my research and consider whether or not HRT will be for me. Within the past 2 years, I have added things like walking to my daily routine. Last year was my first season in the winter of walking that whole time that I was able to. And what I did find is that the walking really helped with my mental health. The year before was when I experienced that bout of depression that I wasn't quite familiar with or used to, but I realized the addition of walking to my routine helped to ease that and calm my mind. Now, it's not something that's easy to do every day because, as I said, low energy days are one of my symptoms. But I do find that when I make a push to get out there and do it, that I can feel a difference. And most every time it benefits me more than it complicates things for me. However, I am also a big believer in giving myself and my body grace. And on those days when it's just too much, then I do not worry about it. The joint pain still comes and goes, and I really don't know if that's ever going to subside. What I do is just take that day by day and see what happens. I have not used the cream on it in a while. And if there is a flare up, I just watch it. And at this point in time, it is not something that is a common occurrence like the low energy, the sleep insomnia, and the night sweats that I deal with. But in general, for the joint pain, one of the things that I have focused on is an anti-inflammatory diet. Not all the time, but adding things that can help try to calm and take down the inflammation in my body. Something I will get into a little later, but that's one of the things that has helped in the past, I'd say like 9 months since working at that consistently. And finally, with my sleep insomnia and night sweats, hey, I just try to get into the best routine as possible. I'm trying different things, and there's not one solid solution for me just yet. I just continue to work at it, and that routine is just winding down in a peaceful way before bedtime. It is trying different herbal teas. Right now it's chamomile tea for me, and doing what I can to try to support a restful sleep during the night for me. But again, a work in progress. What I would say to you is, if you are noticing things happening in your body, the awareness is key. You may be hearing a lot perimenopause, and still struggling to understand exactly what it is all about. But be aware of your body. Get a journal. When the joint pain started for me, I started taking notes because it was strange and I'm wondering what in the world is going on here. But keeping the documentation about when it was happening, what was happening, helped me to be aware of the timeline, the different things that were going on in my body, and then having the information necessary to sit and talk with my physician about it. And that's going to be one of the key factors in all of this as well. Speak up about it. You're not going crazy. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not making this up in your head. You are entering into a new stage of life, and there are different things that come along with it. The few symptoms that I have described to you may not be yours. I've heard people dealing with itching ears, anxiety. I have had a few of those anxious moments, but that lasted about a month for me, and I haven't dealt with it since. I've had some itching skin to the point of feeling like I want to scratch my face off. But again, it's something that hasn't stuck around for me as far as a symptom is concerned, like these others have. So I'm just aware and keep notes about what's going on. And that's absolutely what I would advise you to do, so that you can get with your provider, share this information with him or her, and figure out the best way to move from there. Perimenopause is not a one size fits all, but I am here to not only share my journey with you, but to support yours as well. So if you have found this video helpful, I hope that you will like, share, and subscribe. And again, let's do this thing called midlife together. I would love it if you would drop in the comments some of the symptoms that you are dealing with, and maybe even some of the solutions that you are utilizing at this time while trying to manage your own perimenopause symptoms. And by the way, also tell me how you're handling that holiday stress that we've talked about. We're going to check in as we go through this season, okay? Until next time.